Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Going to be talking about Protection Paladin today. So I've said this in previous videos and I've said this before, this is probably one of my least favorite tanks, but at the same time it's also probably one of the easiest tanks and one of the tanks that offers the most utility both to the group, to themselves, and in each individual dungeon. Alright, so first off, let's talk about our stat alignment. Alright, so if we look at our stats. Primarily, what we're looking for is haste because the more haste you have, the faster you can attack, the more abilities you can get off, the lower your global cooldown is. All right. Next up is going to be crit. The biggest reason for crit is because of how it plays in with the hero talent tree, and it's also going to provide more damage with your abilities, which will give you more threat. Given the fact that Paladin Given the fact that Paladin is one of the lower damage dealing tanks, I believe they're the third lowest damage dealing tank right now. Having that extra critical strike does benefit you with your threat generation and with keeping up on different procs and things of that nature. All right. Mastery and versatility are both kind of falling behind right now. Versatility is just not good for plate tanks. It doesn't play into their strengths nearly as much as their other stats. And then right now we're just valuing that damage and that extra attack over what we would be getting from our mastery. All right. So as far as talent builds go, this is pretty much what we're going to be looking at. This is going to offer you the most group utility. This is also going to offer you solid self-sustainability and damage talents to ensure that your output is going as high as it can. All right. So next up, let's talk about our defensive. So defensively speaking, Prot Paladin doesn't really have a whole lot going for them. They have Divine Shield, which it's like a bubble. It does taunt and it causes forbearance. So basically, you can Divine Shield, or you can use your lay hands on. One is going to heal you for your entire health pool. One is going to prevent all the damage for 8 seconds. It just depends on what you want to do. All right. Then we have our Argent Defender. All right. This is just a flat damage reduction. And it does a healing if you kill a target while it's active. All right. It is only going to last 8 seconds on a 1.4 minute cooldown. So you do want to be careful with when you use it and how you use it, and make sure that you are timing everything correctly. All right. Next up, we have Avenging Wrath, which basically is going to increase your damage, increase your healing, critical strike. It's going to do a lot for us, and all that's going to increase by 20%. So with that healing gain, we're going to be able to live through more. We're going to be able to get healed back up faster. We're going to be able to do, we're going to be able to do more self-sustaining and surviving than what we could do regularly. So then we have our Holy Bulwark. All right, this is something we're going to get with the Lightsmith hero tree. And essentially how it's going to work for us as a defensive is it's going to give us an absorb shield. Basically, it's an absorb shield that's going to increase by 2% every 2 seconds. It's not super great, not super awesome, but it can be helpful in like that tail end of a fight when things are starting to die off and you need something. All right. Then we have Sentinel. All right. Basically, this is our big defensive that we're going to use. All right. So it reduces all the damage we take by 50% for 8 seconds. And this is basically like the, oh shit, I've got nothing left. I'm just trying to survive. I need to live. This is more than I planned for. I wasn't ready for this. Any number of circumstances. That's when we're going to use our Guardian of Ancient Kings. All right. The other defensive that we have is going to be our Shield of the Righteous. Very similar to Lunar Beam on a Druid. This is going to be our damage and defensive. All right. It's like Metamorphosis on a Demon Hunter, Lunar Beam on a Druid, Death Strike on a Death Knight, things like that. Because we're doing damage, but we're also able to increase strength and stamina, and it will stack. So we can get 3 stacks of this, and we're good to go. Now, one of our biggest self-sustaining factors that we have is our ability to use our shield, our lay hands on, and our word of glory. Now, you can use any of these on yourself or somebody in the party. So if somebody in the party is just falling off and they need help, you can easily throw your divine shield on them. You can lay hands on, or you can word of glory. I have these all set up to click cast. So if I notice somebody's down, I'm doing good, I can just throw whatever I need to on them. All right. And that gives us group utility as well as self sustain. All right. Now, as far as the rest of our utility, all right, we have shield, Avenger Shield, and we have Divine Toll. Divine Toll is going to shoot out a whole bunch of Avenger Shield, all right, and it's going to silence and interrupt them so we can group things that much easier. And then our Avenger Shield is going to go out and it's going to silence the one target so that way that we can get everything up and ready to go. All right, that is a lot of the utility, and having those interrupts and being able to focus target that one person that you need interrupted every chance. Plus, we can rebuke and be able to use Avenger Shield with our procs. That is going to help us out a lot with anything and everything going on. Okay, so as far as continuing on with our group utility, we have Intercession, which is a instant cast battle res. Then we also have our Blessing of Freedom. All right, it's going to give immunity from movement and pairing. So if somebody gets like a slow on them, or if somebody needs freedom from like roots, entanglements, stuff like that, you can use your freedom to help them out. We have Blessing of Sacrifice, which is going to reduce damage taken by 30% and cause you to take 100%. So it's like a fixate cast and you're not taking any damage. You've got defensives up, you've got cooldowns, you're good. You can use Blessing of Sacrifice and take 30% of that damage just to help them out. This is really beneficial if you're playing with a lot of cloth players, or like mages and priests are kind of squishy. So the Blessing of Sacrifice definitely helps them a lot. Next up, we have Blessing of Spell Warding. So this is going to grant immunity to magic damage as well as harmful effects for 10 seconds. This really comes into handy depending on the different dungeons that you're running, and it's very situational of when you're going to use it, but it does definitely help out a lot, and it does give somebody else a better chance of surviving because they're not like warriors. Don't really have a lot to deal with magic damage. So if you know they're fixing to take some magic damage, you can use your Blessing of Spell Ward on them and reduce that or make them immune to that damage, and then they can live through what might have otherwise killed them, where they don't have to use a defensive on something that they shouldn't have had to use a defensive for. Okay. Next up, we have Blessing of Protection. All right, so this is a physical damage immunity, basically. This is good for like your healer. If you know that there's a lot of physical damage that's going to hit the group, like swipes, frontals, things like that, that you just can't avoid because, again, it's physical damage, you can use this, make sure your healer survives, and you're good to go. All right, again, both Blessing of Protection and Blessing of Spell Warding, those need to be used sparingly and they are going to be situational, but it's just more utility that you offer to your group, right? Now, let's talk about the rotation. All right, so we're going to keep Consecration up at all times. You want your Avenger Shield to be on cooldown, you want Judgment on cooldown, and you want Blessing of Hammer. All three of these you want to be on cooldown, all right? If it's a group with a lot of casters, then you can keep your Divine Toll on cooldown. It just kind of is going to be a situational. Like I said, it's a group utility thing. All right, so our rotation is pretty much going to look like Avenger Shield. Well, excuse me. So we're going to precast our Blessing of Hammer 3 times to generate the Holy Power. That way we have a Shield of the Righteous up when we get in. So we're going to precast our Blessing of Hammer. Then we're going to use Avenger Shield, Judgment, or excuse me, Avenger Shield, Consecration, Judgment, Shield of the Righteous, and then just as it comes up, we want to use our Blessing Hammer. So I'm going to go ahead and precast these, and then I'm going to target, run in, Judgment, there, right there, and now I can just keep casting. I'm back into Judgment, and then I'm just going, reapply my Consecration, Judgment, Shield of Righteous. Now I've got a healing proc that I can use to get myself back up. Consecration, Judgment, and just keep on going. And it's pretty much just going to look like this. Just make sure that everything is on cooldown. If it's a proc, use it. And that's essentially what your rotation is going to look like as a protection paladin. Protection paladin is probably one of the rotationally simplistic tanks out there right now, because there's not a whole lot of change to your rotation. However, Prot Paladin has probably one of the highest rotational interrupts that you're going to see, right? So the rotation is very simple. It's like 4 or 5 buttons. Occasionally, you throw out a six if you have nothing to do, but all of it is very straightforward, very simple. However, your defensives have to be timed correctly because otherwise you run out of defensives and you die. You have to keep your uptime on your shield and balance your other defensives and be able to throw out your blessings. So rotationally very simple, but in order to effectively play protection paladin to be the biggest benefit to your group that you can be, you have to be able to pay attention to a lot of what's going on. Get that rotation to muscle memory so you just do it on repeat over and over, same buttons over and over and over again. And then you can stop. You can use your blessings. You can heal a party member. You can heal yourself. You can cast your defensive and then go right back into picking up on your rotation where you left off. So, all in all, Prot Paladin, a very simple tank. It can be fun to play. It can be easy to play or it can be very difficult. It very much depends on your group and what your group is going to need from you. All right. There's a lot of prop paladins that ignore the amount of utility that they get or that they give to a group, and it makes the group suffer. Especially Arakara is a big one. Ecodome is a big one where you need that paladin freedom, you need the paladin blessings, you need the paladin utility, you need them to be on their game. And what makes prop paladin so difficult to play is majority of the time to play it at peak 100%, you have to be able to do everything all at once and make sure that every global is set up and ready to go no matter what. But that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If I left anything off or I forgot anything, if you have a different idea, please, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. And if you guys want to see more of this, again, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and we'll see y'all in the next one.